In this video, we're going to walk through how to use Aptana Studio to create your first HTML5 document. So if you have not yet downloaded Aptana, be sure to go to the link, select standalone version, and just click download and go ahead and install that on your Mac. And then once you've done that, go ahead and go to the link that I provide called Building Web Pages with HTML5, and we're going to use that as our basis. And if you scroll down to the section that starts with putting it all together, go ahead and read the article, but we're going to work from here for our example. And then open up Aptana Studio, select Create New File, select Untitled HTML File, and click Finish. You'll see here is put in some default information, some tags. We're going to go ahead and clear all that out because we're going to start from scratch. So if we go back to the article, we'll see the very first thing we have to do is we have to put our doc type HTML. So this is the doc type that tells the browsers that you're going to be writing HTML5 tags. So it's very important that your document starts with this. So let's go back to Aptana Studio and we're going to type this in. And it's good practice to put the doc type word in all caps and then the word HTML in lowercase. Okay, so we have that. If we go back to our article, we'll see that the very next thing is an opening HTML tag. And if I scroll down, you'll see the very last thing in the document is a closing HTML tag. And that's what identifies a markup language. It has tags, and generally it has tags that open and then close. So let's go back to Aptana Studio, and we'll type our opening HTML tag. And once I do that, Aptana actually goes ahead and writes the closing tag for me, which is great. So I don't forget to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and hit the Enter key here so I can get some room. If we go back to our article, the very next section is the head section. And this is where you put things like JavaScript, links to external JavaScript files. You can put your CSS styles in here. You can put links to external style sheets. Your title goes in here, and either meta tag information goes in here. So let's go ahead and go back to our document and add this in. So I'll put my head tag, and then it closes it for me. I'll make some room. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a meta tag in called char set, and that's the character set that the browser will be using when it comes to this page. So that way it knows what to expect. So we're going to put that in. The next thing we're going to put in is our title tag. And this is what appears at the very top of the browser window. So let's call this my first HTML5 page by, of course, put your name. And so that's it right now for the head tag. We'll come back in a little bit and add some styles in here. So let's go ahead and save our page. It's good practice to save regularly. So I'm going to go to File, Save. And you might want to create a folder on your desktop, perhaps called FWD like I did. And we're going to go ahead and name our page p1.html. So let's go back to our article. The very next thing after the head tag is the body tag. So all of the actual content of your HTML page will be contained within the body tag. So there's our opening body tag, and then if I scroll down, you'll see the second to last thing is the closing body tag right before the closing HTML tag. So let's go back to Aptana and put in our body tag. And then I have my closing body tag. And you'll notice that Aptana Studio is nice because it indents for me as I'm putting in my various tags. And it's good practice to have good indenting because it makes it much easier to go back through your page to read through it and to add or change things as needed. So then we'll look here right underneath the body tag. We have our header tag. And the header tag is new to HTML5. In the past, most sites just use an H1 tag, as you see here, to identify what is the main heading of this page. And so the reason that there are these new tags in HTML5 is the group of people who got together to create the HTML5 specification recognize that there are certain commonalities that have appeared across websites over the past 5 to 10 years. And one of the things is header, the other thing is a nav, sections, and a footer, which is why they created these specific tags, to give them more semantic meaning. So let's go back to Aptana and we're going to write in our header. There's our header, and I'm going to put in now also an H1 tag because that helps for stylizing. And we're going to call this Courses I've Taken. And what you're going to be creating here in this document is a list of the courses you've taken so far in the Internet Marketing Program. So we have that. Let's go ahead and save. Let's go back to our article here. The next section underneath the header is the navigation section, and the tag here is called nav. So we're going to come back next week and take a look at how to actually put in the navigation links using a list. So for now, just go back to your document, and underneath the closing head tag, just put in nav and close it, and we're going to come back again next week to add more in there. Right underneath the nav, now this is when we get into the content of your document. So you'll see there's sections, there's an opening section and a closing section. So we're going to add some sections now for the different courses that you've taken. So I'm going to start with my section tag, in my section tag, and within my section tag I'm going to do a header, and I'm going to use an H2 element, so it's not quite as prominent as an H1. This is kind of like a subheading underneath the main heading. So within the H2 I'm going to put the first class that I've taken. So in this case it would be Introduction to Internet Marketing. And then below the closing header I'm going to put a paragraph tag. And a paragraph tag is just like you'd use in Microsoft Word. It's to set off a block of text. So I'm going to write within my paragraph tag just maybe a couple of phrases, what I learned in Internet Marketing, the introduction class. So learned foundation of Internet Marketing and marketing principles. And you can type whatever you'd like. So we have the first course done. So now I'm just going to repeat this. I'm going to do another section. And within my section I'm going to do another header. So you can have multiple headers on the page. I'm going to do another H2 because this is at the same level. I'm adding another class. So I'm going to say Internet Consumer Behavior. And then as soon as my header closes, I'm going to add that paragraph tag, and then go ahead and type whatever it is, the main things that you learned in Internet Consumer Behavior. So you're going to repeat this for the first set of classes that you've taken. So then you should have at least 4 in here. So I'm going to write digital storytelling, and then again my paragraph tag, and indicate what I've learned. So let's go ahead and save here. And go back to the article. So after the last section, then you have your footer, and footers are used to put copyright information, who the site was by, perhaps who the site was designed by. Sometimes it also includes text navigation links. So we're going to go back to our Aptana Studio, and after my last section closing tag, I'm going to type footer, have my closing footer tag, and I'm going to put a P tag within here, and I'm just going to say copyright, and then I'm going to put the copyright symbol, which is an ampersand, the word copy, and a semicolon, 2011 by Carol Cox. So go ahead and put your name. Let's close that up a little bit. And let's go ahead and save. So now you should have the same thing that I have in here. So let's go take a look and see what it looks like. So go to your Finder window, navigate to the folder where you saved this in, right-click on it, and if you look at Open With, you'll see you have a bunch of different options. Firefox is my default browser, so that's what's at the top. It could be Safari for you. So go ahead and look at it first in Firefox. So it comes up and you see I have my main heading, courses I've taken. The very top of the browser window I have my title tag, which is what we put in there. And then we have our courses that we put in. So you see that they're not quite as prominent as the courses I've taken, but they're still bolded. And then I have what I've learned underneath each one. And then finally I have my footer down there at the very bottom. So you see that the browser understands that the H1 and the H2 tags should be given more prominence than a regular paragraph tag. And then we can go back to our Finder and we can take a look at it in a different browser. So say I want to look at it in Chrome. And if you haven't yet downloaded these browsers, make sure to go do so because you're going to want to check your pages in these different browsers. So you'll see again here I have my page and everything looks good. So let's go back now to Aptana Studio, and let's say we want to style our footer. We want it to be a different color to help separate it from the rest of the content on the page. So within my P tag, before that closing bracket, I'm going to type a space, and then I'm going to type style equals quotation mark color, the word color, a colon, and then I'm going to type the color that I want. So let's say I want it to be red, and then I end that with a semicolon and make sure I have my ending quotation mark. So this says that I want this font color to be red. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now if I go back to Firefox, and if I reload the page, you'll see now that my footer is red. So it looks great. So let's go back now to Aptana Studio and say that I wanted to color all of the H2 tags, right, course headings here. So I could go and I could do the same thing that I did with the P, and I could add style to each one, but then I would be doing it 3 different times or 4 different times, and I really want to be able to reuse this and just do it once. So that's where within your head tag you can go ahead and put in the style for that particular element. So within your head tag, type style, type equals, and you'll see there it gives you the prompt, so we're going to choose text CSS, and that just tells the browser what type of style you're giving it. Make sure it's in quotation marks there, and then close it, and you'll see it gives me my ending style tag. And then within this, I'm going to say that I want to style the H2 element, put an opening curly braces, the color that you want, the word color, a colon, and then we're going to put in the color that we want, and then we're going to put we have our closing braces there. So let's say we want a non-standard color. We don't want red, yellow, blue, and so on. We want something maybe a little bit more creative. So if we go back to that article here and you scroll up, you'll see that there's a link to color charts. So if you click on that, there's a bunch of different colors here. So in addition to the word for the color, you can also use the hexadecimal codes. This will give you a lot more choices. So I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to pick this nice blue color. So I'm just going to copy this, make sure to include the pound sign, go back to Aptana Studio, and for the color, I'm going to paste that in, again making sure the pound sign is included, and in that with a semicolon. So now I'm going to save the page, and if I go back to Firefox and I reload, you'll see now that all of my H2s have been styled in that blue color that I chose. And if we go to Chrome and I reload, the same thing. It'll be the same thing in Opera and Safari as well, but you want to make sure that you go and check on all of those. The next thing you want to do before you submit your assignment is to go to the W3C Markup Validation Service with the link provided in the assignment instructions, and you're going to upload the file you created and have it check to make sure everything looks good. So make sure that you're on the Validate by File Upload tab. Click Browse to find your p1.html file, and then click Check. And then you should get a message back that says this document was successfully checked as HTML5. You will see it says one warning. That just said that this validation is experimental for HTML5. That's it. So if it says this, you're good. If it has any errors or additional warnings, you're going to want to make sure to scroll down and read what those are. Go back to your file, fix it, and then come back and revalidate here until it passes.